The UK has sent Wildcat and Apache helicopters along with their crews for 3 months. The 9 aircraft were providing attack capability and air support on this exercise.
Alright y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. I hope all of you are doing okay out there. I haven't really been asking how you guys are because, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I've been preoccupied with all the craziness, especially hitting 100,000 subscribers and everything. But, yeah, hopefully you guys are doing okay, especially with COVID. Hopefully that's dying down a little bit. It seems like it's dying down here, but the second we let our guard down, COVID spikes again. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. Hopefully you guys are doing okay and you're able to go out a little bit more. And again, it is starting to be autumn and Halloween is coming up, so that's very exciting. You can see I've gotten in the Halloween spirits with my cheap jack-o'-lantern and my like $2 spider that I've hung up on the ceiling. But yeah, that's the way I can get excited for everything. So hopefully you guys have something to get excited for. And it might just be this video. So this is about the British Army. I think it's a British Army. It could be the Royal Marines actually. But this is about British personnel in Estonia. So we haven't really been showing so much love for Estonia. So I want to do a little bit more videos displaying like their army and other forces working with their army. Because yeah, Estonia, it's one of those things like, we talk about Finland a lot, but Estonia is also in a really rough position when you're talking about the geographical location and then being so close to Russia, obviously. So yeah, Estonians, I'm sure they take their conscript pretty serious. I'm sure they take their service pretty serious. So yeah, I want to check out some more videos to see how hardcore the Estonian military is, because yeah, they seem like they have some pretty awesome units. And yeah, I want to get a little more exposure to it. Especially, I've never worked with Estonians. I've never really, I think the closest I got was in Bulgaria, or well, I guess Romania, if you're talking about geographically. But yeah, I worked with Romanians and Bulgarians, so that's probably the closest I got. And I still don't think that's really too close to how their military actually does everything. But yeah, let's see. This is called Exercise Spring Storm. This is from Forces TV. So again, it's going to be a nice little informational video about British personnel in Estonia. So yeah, let us check it out together.
Pressed up against the wall of a supermarket in the town of Sillamäe, soldiers from Estonia's 2nd Infantry Brigade are playing the part of an invading force.
Okay.
The locals out
Fine.
shopping seem unfazed. They have been
Okay, wait,
consulted
what? Okay. Did they not like coordinate this at all? I hope they at least put signs up saying, hey, these aren't really bad guys. Don't worry about these guys, you know, with the guns. But this kid seems like he's enjoying it, or she. So, okay, that's pretty awesome. It's cool. It's always cool to have like this opportunity to train in the cities that you actually might be responsible for. But I mean, it's also just cool to work around the civilians because you kind of get to, it sort of motivates you to just be a little bit more violent and sort of square away your stuff a little bit better just because you're in the public's eye. But okay, I wasn't expecting that, but okay, very cool.
This exercise taking place in the heart of their town so that it could be as realistic as possible. A few miles down the road, soldiers from the 1st Infantry Brigade are lying in wait to protect another town
Nice
from
rifle.
falling to the enemy.
M14.
These soldiers are practicing how they would defend their own country were an invasion to come from the east for real. No one thinks it's imminent, but since Russian troops took parts of Ukraine 5 years ago, the fear that it might happen here has risen sharply.
That tank. The tank right next to this civilian car. Again, it's really awesome to like work around the civilian populace because they get a little more confidence, especially if they see you doing all this training and they see you familiarizing yourself with everything. As long as you're being respectful and not, you know, blocking the road with your tanks or messing up the roads, then it works out pretty well. But yeah, again, you can appreciate the mindset, especially when Russia starts, you know, acting up or trying to flex on certain countries. Then yeah, you can imagine they're going to try and up the exercises. And we've just seen that throughout history. It's just one of those things. But okay, I mean, very cool to see them training in this urban environment, though.
We're training all the elements of which Estonian Defence Force consists, including our self-defense capability and our ability and capability to work with allies.
In nearby forest, British soldiers from the King's Royal Hussars are preparing to help launch a fight back.
Okay, not familiar with that unit.
800 UK troops are on an 8-month deployment here, the latest to embed in Estonia's 1st Infantry
8 months?
Brigade. It is an ongoing deployment known as NATO Enhanced Forward Presence that began 2 years ago.
It's really good, really positive experience.
We have like the Black Sea Rotational Force. I don't want to keep pausing it so much, but yeah, we have the U.S. has the Black Sea Rotational Force, or I think had them, but those are like Marines who go to like, Spain and Romania and Bulgaria and I think Africa. So I'm not really sure. It's kind of just all over the place, but generally to be like a deterrence for Russia, but that's about 6-7 months. 8 months is a little bit longer, but I guess it really allows you to, train with the Estonians and give them confidence that they can work with their allied nations and that the allied nations have a good sort of warm and fuzzy on what the Estonians have to go through and what their environment looks like. So it does work out. I'm not too familiar with the Royal Hussars. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that unit. So if you guys could provide some information. I thought it was Huzzah, but it looks like it's Hussar. But okay, yeah, if you guys could provide some insight on to that unit, I'd be interested to hear about it. Sounds like pretty badass. King's Royal Hussars. Yeah, okay.
This is the first time I've got to work with the Estonians. They're a very professional modern army, and it's going well between the two of us.
Any language issues?
Most of the Estonians do speak very good English, much better than my Estonian, to be honest. So language hasn't really been a problem so far.
Nice. True, I don't know any Estonian, so...
It's not just people, there's British hardware power here too. The UK has sent Wildcat and Apache helicopters, along with their crews, for 3 months. The 9 aircraft were providing attack capability and air support on this exercise.
Nice helicopter.
And on the ground, there's British heavy armour and weaponry, Challenger tanks, Warrior armoured fighting vehicles, and Bulldog armoured personnel carriers.
Hell yeah.
These vehicles and soldiers have now been working and living out on the ground just over a week.
Well, we've been living on the tank. So different positions, so for instance like hides, for instance, like around here, just living on the tank. So you could sleep on the side of the tank in the bivvy or on the back decks when it's raining. It's quite warm.
Yeah, nice.
It's not
perks
just
about
Britain
having the
joining
armor.
Estonia on this exercise. A total of 17 nations are taking part, most from NATO, but some non-member allies too, including Ukraine. In all, there are around 9,000 troops involved.
Wow.
This exercise takes
Never
place
heard of it.
every year in a different part of Estonia, but this year we're about half an hour's drive from the Russian border. This is as much about hardball diplomacy and messaging as it is about military readiness.
Yeah. So again, when you have people acting up, it's just a big flex. Like, hey, dude, we have all these people who are willing to come and help us out. So you should probably chill out a little bit. So you see this, it happens over and over again. It's just one of those things. It's just a part of, the geographical location. But yeah, 30 minutes, that's pretty close. I mean, I thought we were pretty close when we went to Romania, but yeah, okay. I mean, again, you need to be pretty ready when you're that close.
And we're training in that areas where we are constantly, so that I really would not emphasize so much of the closer of the border. And at the end, as an independent country, we can choose where we train, how we train, and for what we train on our own.
But it is an immense show of force and of unity among the nations taking part. This is what NATO calls deterrence, a constant demonstration to Russia that NATO will pull together for even its
I like that
smallest
camera
members.
angle, that's sick.
It's not just happening on the ground. A squadron of RAF Typhoons is currently flying from Estonia's Amari Air Base.
RAF don't mess
taking
about.
part in Spring Storm, but they're mainly here to protect NATO airspace, policing it up to the Russian border over the Baltic states and sea.
Really, it's a day-to-day priority one for the UK of defence of UK airspace. We're now doing it over here for NATO and NATO sovereign airspace. And really, it's a very simple mission in a different country where we can hand over seamlessly.
The UK does get something back directly from putting this effort into Estonia's defence. Practice working with partner nations, a chance to learn lessons about operating together away from the heat of a real battle.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you get a general idea of how certain militaries would operate just based off of like what equipment they have or they don't have. But it's crazy that the difference in tactics will just make you like, wow, okay, I did not think they would use tactics like that. And, you know, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it's definitely an eye-opener. Like, we did some training with the Romanians and the Bulgarians. The Bulgarians did a lot of very similar stuff when you talked about, like, the small unit tactics, but generally their leadership was a little bit different. They seemed like they were more on the same playing field when you're talking about, like, their NCOs and their, like, lower enlisted. They were all like much older than us, so I think they were all pretty mature, and they generally understood that they were pretty much on the same level, like pretty much peers. So it's sort of weird to see how their leadership aspect came into play when they were coming down to business. And the Romanians, they're pretty solid, they're pretty violent, and again, they have like AKs and RPGs, and it's just always cool to see those going off. Because again, they have different capabilities, they have different limitations, and they have different safety concerns and considerations. So yeah, it's definitely interesting to work with other units and other militaries to see how your unit would actually fit in with theirs.
We've got a battle group of some 1,000 people within which we've got the Belgians and about 300 Belgians from the Chasseur company. And we're learning to work together. And I've been pleasantly surprised with actually how slick and how smooth some of those interfaces have been.
Slick.
Russia routinely accuses NATO of provocation by holding exercises like this close to its territory.
Nice.
But Moscow too holds big military drills close to its side of the border.
Yeah, of course.
For Estonia and NATO, this exercise and Britain's long-term presence are about being ready for a real fight should it come. But the hope is that readiness will itself prevent such a fight from happening.
Yeah, deterrence. All right. Yeah, so again, it's a lot of stuff. It gets political at the end of the day, but it is really awesome to work with all these other militaries because you can sort of adapt. Even though, generally, your military, the doctrine will stay pretty sound and you're not really going to change the tactics up too much or the fundamentals. But it's cool to see, especially when you do, like, an opposing force and you're going against all these people and they're using their tactics. It's cool to see how your tactics might actually need to be changed up for certain situations. So it's always good to have all this exposure to all these different tactics and all this different equipment because you just understand it better. If you can understand their equipment and their tactics, then it'll help you whenever you actually need to work with them. So yeah, these exercises are awesome. 8 months is pretty long, but again, you're talking about it's probably like a rotational force as well. And yeah, and you see those all over the place, and it's just a big deterrence sort of thing. But yeah, okay, very, very cool to check out. So I like how we saw those awesome camera angles with the weapons and everything. That was pretty cool to check out. And their equipment looked pretty solid. I know Romania has a bunch of U.S. equipment as well. Norway has some U.S. equipment. So you'll see that's where, NATO allies will move their equipment around just so they can just use the equipment there as opposed to moving stuff as much. And it pretty much just comes down to the deterrence and the readiness. But it's just cool to expose yourself to the culture and the language and all these people from all over, because you realize, like, yeah, you have these moments where you're like miserable, but these guys have the same moments and you can really bond over that, especially when you're doing a field exercise for like a week or longer. You can definitely experience that struggle together. So yeah, very cool. Let me know if you guys have been to Estonia as part of training like this. If you guys are from Estonia and you've worked with other militaries, that'd be cool to hear about. Or if you've done any other rotational units and what you sort of saw, maybe some of the growing pains or, what you were impressed with. It's cool to hear about that as well. So yeah, feel free to share those experiences down in the comment section. But of course, feel free to share what you think about the video. Regardless, I do hope you guys enjoyed it. These are awesome to check out. I like checking out these exercises because it allows me to sort of compare what I've seen, and it's also cool to see what you guys have experienced or what your experiences are in relation to this. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing. And yeah, let's all get into the Halloween spirit together. I don't know if you guys celebrate Halloween where you are, but I mean it's cool to get excited about something, especially since 2020 has been a very rough year. But yeah, I'll continue to have this in the background, maybe a little bit after Halloween, depending on how lazy I am. But I hope you guys can appreciate it. But yeah, that is it for this video. So we'll see y'all in the next one.